So, hello, welcome to another video live. I'm Rick Cardwell. I'm a local counsellor. I specialise in relationships and in putting relationships right and finding relationships. So again, I've had some questions coming in on Facebook and quite a few today, which I'll address over the next few days. So thank you for the questions. They're always great to have and always really interesting. This particular one is moving on from finding the perfect partner. When I've put posts or videos on about perfect partner, they seem to raise a lot of questions for people. And so I really wanted to address in this one, clearly the biggest reason, without a shadow of a doubt, why people fail to find a perfect partner. So let's crack on, let's dive into this. So one of the most common, and it sounds pretty obvious really, it's an obvious observation, but what I have noticed when I work with clients, and I've also noticed this with students as well, is that people's lives are not what they want them to be. And the question is, well, why? So let's put aside catastrophe and tragedy, because obviously that's self-evident. And although there's some evidence to suggest that the degree to which we bring about our own tragedy is often relevant, shall we say. But we can agree that not all tragedy happens to people because it's their fault. And I think that's true to say. And most of us would agree. And it's a very dangerous presupposition because, well, we all get sick and everybody dies. So you kind of can't just load that to say, well, that's your fault. But there's some evidence to say that tragedy can be magnified by ourselves and we can increase that on ourselves. But one of the reasons that people don't get what they want is that they actually don't figure it out, what it is that they do want. And maybe there are some things that you really want and that you would be really good for you, but then the question is, why don't you get them? Well, perhaps it's because you don't try. So let's put this theory into relationships. If you were to imagine that you were taking care of yourself like someone you actually cared for, and you thought, okay, I am caring for this person, me, and I would like them to do as well as they possibly could. Okay, sounds good. What would your life have to be like in order for you to have the best relationship possible? And I'm not talking about living in a castle or on a tropical island paradise. I'm asking, how do you need to be to have the best relationship possible? Now, people very rarely do that. They don't sit down and question themselves what they need to be like to have the best relationship possible. They don't sit down and think, okay, I've got a life. It's hard, obviously, but 3 years from now, I could have what I need. You could have what would be good for you. You can't have everything, and you have to be careful what you want, but you have to figure out what it is. And once you figure out what it is you want, then you have to aim at it. So my experience is that when people figure out what it is that they want and what would be good for them, then they aim at it and they can get it. Now, you may have an idea about what might be good for you, and you may start taking steps to move towards that. And you find out your planning's off a bit and you go off target, you have to reformulate your goals. And that's a really great learning process. That's how we develop, by aiming at something that we think is good for us and moving towards it. And it's that path on that journey that helps us to learn and to develop. But at least you are doing something. While you are weaving your way to that goal, you're doing something. At least you're moving away from where you were, and because that place where you were was actually never good enough for you. And a huge part of the reason that people fail is they don't ever plan for success. And the chances of you randomly stumbling across success is pretty slim. So, if you've had failed relationships, say one after the other, and you're still the same person that has come through those failed relationships without changing who you are, what makes you think that the next relationship will work? So you say, well, those failed relationships weren't my fault. That was their fault. But if the ideal person came along, then I'm sure I'd have the perfect relationship. No. If you're not in a place yourself to make a relationship work, then the chances are it never will. What you need to discover is why your relationships haven't worked. So, what's the answer? If you actually want something, you can have it. Then the question is, what do you mean by actually want? What does that mean when you actually want something? And the answer to that is that you set your life up to make that event occur as soon as is actually possible. Now, you don't get everything, obviously, but maybe you can get what you need, and maybe all you have to do to get it is to plan and to set out a goal. Now, you can't aim at a goal if you're not in a place to work towards it. That means if you have a task to achieve, you've got to prepare yourself for it to be able to complete that task. So the question is, how do you prepare yourself for achieving the tasks that allow you to get the things that you need? So here's an exercise for you. Sit on the edge of your bed any day and ask yourself, what remarkably stupid things am I doing to absolutely screw up my life? If you actually ask that question, you have to want to know the answer, because that's why you ask the question. You have to decide that you want to know the answer to that. What remarkably stupid things am I doing to absolutely screw up my life? Now, you shouldn't be blaming the world for all your miseries and failures. If you're not prepared to put the effort into asking yourself how you could be a better person moving towards the positive and making yourself right, then it's no one's fault but your own. Now, I had this conversation a few days ago with a woman in her early 20s who told me and described really a life of chaos that she was living. And when I pointed out that starting to put her life right should start with her, that she should question her behaviours and attitudes, the answer that she gave me was, I don't give a shit. Well, that's fine. But just be aware that when you don't give a shit, you find that the world pays you back by not giving a shit. When you figure out what the things are that are holding you back and you decide to work on those things and make yourself a better person, then you'll become more perfect yourself. When you're able to see yourself as becoming a better person, you'll start to see the things in other people that makes them perfect for you. If you really want to figure that one out, then you will. Now, ask yourself, how should you be moving towards the things that will help you to achieve your goals. Well, if you are doing things and they aren't right, they don't feel right, you know that, then stop doing them. Change what you are doing. If you are perfectly capable of thinking, then you should consult yourself, tell yourself, speak to yourself, what is the best possible outcome for me? And you might get an answer. Because the perfect partner for you is not the perfect partner for anybody else. But to find the perfect partner, you must be content and happy with who you are first. It has to start here. And if you cannot find that contentment within yourself, if you can't find that happiness and that peace and that motivation to make yourself a better person, then don't expect to find it in anybody else, because you won't. So, is there such thing as a perfect partner? I believe, firmly believe, that that is your choice and something that you can take responsibility for by making your life a better life, taking responsibility and working on yourself to make yourself a better person. So I hope that helps. I know that's kind of almost a bit brutal, but the facts of the matter are that research and psychology shows that you're in control very much of the destiny of your own life, and how you are and how you are shaped. It's a bit like, I guess, sowing and reaping. What you sow into the world, you'll reap the consequences of that. So think about how you are, how you feel, how you're behaving, what your anger is, what your resentment is, what your hatred is, what your behaviors are, and get them right. You know they're not right because they don't feel good. Once you've got them right, you'll start to become a better person, and you'll see a better person for you, and they'll be attracted to you. So I hope that makes sense. If you think that you need any help or guidance, then I've attached a link to this. You can click on that link, book an appointment with me. We can have a chat, try and sort some things out for you. Alternatively, personal message me. You can direct message me on Facebook, give me some comments, give me some thumbs up, give me some thumbs down, but let me know what you think. But I want to know about you and how you're doing and what you want from life. So thank you again for watching. It's always great to do these lives in the hope that somebody will get something out of it and you're able to move on in your life in a positive way. And of course you can. You've just got to take responsibility for that. So I shall see you on the next Facebook Live. Thank you for watching.